Hey everyone, welcome to the Reality Access. Here we bring you the latest 90-day Fiancé news and exclusive updates every day. If you enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel now. On 90-Day Fiancé The Other Way, one of the most emotionally layered and controversial storylines belongs to Jenny Slatin and Sumit Singh. Their relationship has always been a complicated mix of love, sacrifice, cultural tension, and immigration uncertainty. This time, however, the stakes are higher than ever. Jenny is not simply fighting for her relationship, she's fighting for her right to remain in India. And in a twist that surprises many viewers, she begins seriously considering becoming a Hare Krishna devotee in order to secure a missionary visa and avoid being forced to leave the country. The situation unfolds during the September 5th episode of 90-Day Fiancé The Other Way. Jenny is racing against the clock as her visa approaches expiration. For years, the American citizen has managed to remain in India through a series of extensions. When the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted international travel, governments around the world implemented emergency measures. India was no exception. Because flights were grounded and borders were restricted, foreign nationals like Jenny received temporary extensions that allowed them to remain legally in the country. But temporary solutions do not last forever. Jenny currently holds a 10-year Indian travel visa. At first glance, that sounds secure and long-term. However, there is a crucial condition attached. She must leave India every 6 months. That requirement means she cannot simply settle permanently. Every half year, she must exit the country and then re-enter to reset her stay period. Under normal circumstances, this would mean booking a quick international trip, often called a visa run. But during a global pandemic, international travel is unpredictable and risky. After receiving her fourth visa extension, Jenny and Sumit decide they can no longer ignore the reality of their situation. They consult an immigration lawyer in India, searching desperately for a legal pathway that will allow Jenny to remain without constant uncertainty. Marriage would be the most straightforward solution. If Sumit married Jenny, she could potentially apply for a spousal visa or a residency status. However, marriage is not an option, at least not right now. Sumit makes it painfully clear that he is not ready to marry Jenny. His hesitation has nothing to do with his feelings for her. Rather, it stems from intense family pressure. In previous seasons, viewers witnessed how strongly Sumit's parents oppose his relationship with Jenny. They disapprove of the age difference, the cultural differences, and the social implications within their community. For Sumit, defying his family would mean emotional estrangement and possibly permanent damage to his relationship with them. So Jenny waits, and while she waits, her visa continues ticking toward expiration. During their consultation, the immigration lawyer presents what appears to be the only viable alternative. Jenny could join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, widely known as ICON. If she were to become a Hare Krishna devotee under this organization, she could qualify for a missionary visa. The suggestion is shocking, not because it is illegal or unethical, but because it requires a major lifestyle and spiritual commitment. Becoming a Hare Krishna devotee is not a paperwork trick. It involves participation in religious practice, adherence to spiritual principles, and involvement in temple life. For Jenny, this is more than a bureaucratic decision. It could reshape her daily routine, identity, and community. Still, the alternative is leaving India and leaving Sumit. The missionary visa in India is designed for foreign nationals who intend to participate in religious or charitable missions. According to Indian immigration regulations, missionary visas typically require documentation from the sponsoring religious organization, verification of purpose, and formal approval. Processing can take several months. In many cases, applications are submitted through Indian consulates abroad. One key question remains unclear during the episode. Would Jenny have to leave India and return to the United States to apply for this missionary visa? Immigration policies often require applicants to apply from their home country. However, exceptions sometimes exist. According to publicly available immigration information, it is possible in certain cases to apply online, submit documents to the appropriate consulate, and wait for processing while physically remaining in India, particularly under special circumstances, such as pandemic-related travel restrictions. Processing time typically takes about 3 months, though it can extend longer depending on administrative review. That timeline introduces another complication. If Jenny's tourist visa expires before her missionary visa is approved, she could be required to leave India while waiting. Yet, the global pandemic complicates everything. During the height of COVID-19, the Indian government issued broad visa extensions for foreign nationals stranded in the country. According to reports from Live Mint, the central government announced that visas for all foreign nationals stranded due to the pandemic were extended automatically until September 31, 2021. Individuals were not required to submit separate applications to the Foreigners Regional Registration Office, or FRRO, for these extensions. This policy dramatically changes Jenny's situation. If the season was filmed during 2020 at the height of global travel restrictions, Jenny may have benefited from these automatic extensions. That would mean she would not need to leave India immediately. Instead, she could remain legally in the country while preparing and submitting her missionary visa application. The missionary visa itself, once approved, can be extended annually for up to 5 years. That would offer Jenny something she has not had in years: stability. Instead of planning an exit every 6 months, she could remain in India continuously, building a life with Sumit without the looming threat of departure. For Jenny, the emotional stakes are enormous. She has already sacrificed much. She sold possessions in the United States. She left behind family and familiarity. She moved thousands of miles to pursue love. Each time her visa approaches expiration, she faces the possibility that her dream could collapse overnight. The idea of becoming a Hare Krishna devotee raises deeper questions as well. Is she considering this path purely for love, or has she found genuine spiritual interest in the teachings of Krishna? Viewers see her wrestling with the decision. Religious commitment is not something to enter lightly. It requires faith, discipline, and intention. Meanwhile, Sumit finds himself caught between two worlds. On one hand, he wants Jenny to stay. On the other, he hesitates to marry her, the simplest solution. His hesitation forces Jenny into complex immigration maneuvers that could have been avoided through marriage. The irony is not lost on viewers. If Jenny successfully applies for the missionary visa before her tourist visa expires, Indian regulations would likely allow her to remain in India while the application is processed. The pandemic extensions further strengthen her position. This combination suggests that she may not need to leave India at all. Still, uncertainty defines their journey. Throughout 90-Day Fiancé history, immigration has always been a central theme. Couples must navigate not only emotional compatibility, but also legal frameworks. Jenny and Sumit's storyline uniquely reverses the typical direction. Instead of a foreign partner coming to America, Jenny relocates to India. This reversal highlights the complexity of international love beyond Western borders. The missionary visa pathway, if approved, would secure Jenny's presence in India for potentially 5 years. That time frame could change everything. It would remove immediate pressure from Sumit regarding marriage. It would allow their relationship to evolve without a visa countdown overshadowing daily life. However, the decision to become a Hare Krishna devotee is not merely administrative. Devotees typically follow 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. They also engage in chanting and temple service. For someone raised in a different cultural and religious environment, this represents a profound adjustment. Jenny must evaluate whether she is prepared for that transformation. If she is not, then the missionary visa may not be sustainable long term. Immigration authorities can review compliance. Religious organizations must confirm participation. A missionary visa is not a loophole, it is a commitment. As viewers continue watching Jenny and Sumit's journey unfold, one central question lingers. Will love be enough to justify such sacrifices? From a legal standpoint, the combination of COVID-19 extensions and the ability to apply while in India suggests that Jenny likely did not have to return to America immediately. If she submitted her application before her tourist visa expired, she could remain legally present during processing. Once approved, she could secure up to 5 years of residence under missionary status. Emotionally, however, the path is far more complicated. Jenny's story illustrates the intersection of love, culture, religion, and immigration law. It reveals how international relationships demand more than romantic commitment. They require resilience, adaptability, and sometimes spiritual reinvention. Whether she ultimately needed to leave India or not, the uncertainty alone underscores the fragility of her situation. Every extension, every appointment, every consultation becomes a lifeline. And so, fans continue watching, not just to see if Jenny secures her visa, but to see whether her relationship with Sumit can withstand the pressure surrounding it. On 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, love rarely exists in isolation. It is tested by geography, bureaucracy, family expectations, and faith. For Jenny Slatin, the question is not only whether she can stay in India, but how far she is willing to go to remain by Sumit Singh's side. On 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, few storylines have been as emotionally intense and culturally complicated as the journey of Jenny Slatin and Sumit Singh. Their relationship has never been simple. It has always existed at the crossroads of love and sacrifice, tradition and rebellion, devotion and doubt. But this time, the tension surrounding them reaches a new level. Jenny is no longer just fighting for romance, she is fighting for her legal right to remain in India. In a surprising and deeply personal twist, she begins seriously considering becoming a Hare Krishna devotee in order to qualify for a missionary visa and avoid being forced to leave the country she now calls home. The drama unfolds during the September 5th episode of the series. As the clock ticks down on her visa, Jenny feels mounting pressure. For years, the American native has managed to extend her stay in India through repeated visa renewals. When the COVID-19 pandemic brought global travel to a near standstill, governments implemented emergency measures to protect foreign nationals who were stranded abroad. India issued temporary visa extensions, allowing individuals like Jenny to remain legally due to travel restrictions and health concerns. However, emergency extensions are not permanent solutions. Jenny currently holds a 10-year tourist visa for India. While that sounds secure, it comes with a strict condition. She must leave the country every 6 months. That requirement prevents her from settling permanently. Under normal circumstances, she could simply take a short international trip and return to reset her stay. But during a pandemic, travel becomes unpredictable, expensive, and potentially dangerous. Flights are canceled, borders close suddenly, regulations change without notice. After receiving her 4th extension, Jenny and Sumit realize they cannot continue living in uncertainty. They schedule a consultation with an immigration attorney in hopes of finding a long-term solution. The most obvious path would be marriage. If Sumit married Jenny, she could apply for a spousal visa or residency status, giving her stability in India. Yet, marriage remains off the table. Sumit makes it clear that he is not prepared to marry her, not because he lacks love, but because of the immense pressure from his family. His parents strongly oppose the relationship. They disapprove of the significant age difference, cultural divide, and social implications within their community. In previous seasons, viewers saw the depth of their disapproval. For Sumit, marrying Jenny without his family's blessing could lead to estrangement and permanent damage to those relationships. So, Jenny waits, uncertain and anxious, as her visa deadline approaches. During their meeting with the lawyer, a surprising alternative is presented. Jenny could join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, and apply for a missionary visa as a Hare Krishna devotee. On paper, it seems like a practical option, but in reality, it involves much more than paperwork. Becoming a Hare Krishna devotee is not simply a bureaucratic strategy. It requires sincere participation in religious practice, adherence to spiritual disciplines, and involvement in temple activities. Devotees follow strict principles, including abstaining from meat, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sexual behavior. They engage in daily chanting, worship, and service. For Jenny, who was raised in a completely different cultural and religious environment, this would be a life-altering commitment. Still, the alternative is heartbreaking, leaving India and leaving Sumit. Missionary visas in India are designed for foreign nationals involved in religious or charitable work. The process typically requires documentation from the sponsoring organization, proof of purpose, and formal government approval. Processing times can take several months, sometimes around 3 months or longer, depending on administrative review. A key question remains unclear in the episode. Would Jenny need to return to the United States to apply for the missionary visa? Immigration policies often require applicants to apply from their home country. However, there are circumstances in which applications can be initiated online, documents submitted to the appropriate consulate, and the applicant allowed to remain in India while the process is underway, particularly during extraordinary situations like a global pandemic. Timing becomes critical. If her tourist visa expires before the missionary visa is approved, she could theoretically be required to leave, but the COVID-19 crisis complicates this scenario. During the height of the pandemic, the Indian government granted automatic extensions for foreign nationals stranded in the country. Reports at the time indicated that visas were extended without individuals needing to submit separate applications to the foreigner's regional registration office. This meant many foreigners could remain legally while travel restrictions were in place. If filming took place during 2020, Jenny may have benefited from these blanket extensions. That would allow her to stay in India while preparing and submitting her missionary visa application, reducing the likelihood that she would need to leave immediately. If approved, a missionary visa can typically be renewed annually for up to 5 years. For Jenny, that represents something she has lacked for a long time: stability. Instead of planning an exit every 6 months, she could remain continuously in India, building a life with Sumit without the looming fear of deportation. Emotionally, the stakes are enormous. Jenny has already given up so much. She sold belongings in the United States, left behind family and familiarity, and moved across the world in pursuit of love. Every time her visa nears expiration, she faces the terrifying possibility that everything she sacrificed could unravel overnight. The decision to become a Hare Krishna devotee forces deeper reflection. Is she doing this solely to remain with Sumit, or is she genuinely drawn to the spiritual teachings of Krishna consciousness? Religious conversion or dedication is not something to treat lightly. It requires authenticity, discipline, and belief. Meanwhile, Sumit remains caught in a painful middle ground. He wants Jenny to stay, yet he avoids the straightforward solution of marriage. His hesitation pushes her toward complicated legal and spiritual pathways that might have been unnecessary otherwise. Viewers cannot ignore the irony. If Jenny submitted her missionary visa application before her tourist visa expired, she would likely be allowed to remain in India while awaiting a decision. Combined with pandemic-related visa extensions, the chances of her needing to leave immediately appear reduced. Still, uncertainty defines their love story. Throughout the 90-Day Fiancé franchise, immigration challenges have always shaped relationships. Jenny and Sumit's journey is unique because the direction is reversed. Instead of bringing a foreign partner to America, Jenny relocates to India. This reversal highlights the complexity of cross-cultural relationships beyond Western perspectives. If the missionary visa is granted, it could secure her stay for years. That time frame would ease immediate pressure around marriage and allow their relationship to grow without constant deadlines. Yet, becoming a Hare Krishna devotee is more than a visa strategy. It's a spiritual lifestyle change requiring dedication and consistency. Immigration authorities may review compliance, and the sponsoring organization must confirm genuine participation. A missionary visa is not a loophole, it's a commitment. As their story continues, viewers are left wondering, can love justify such profound sacrifices? Legally, the combination of pandemic extensions and the ability to apply while in India suggests Jenny likely did not need to return to America immediately. If everything was submitted properly before expiration, she could remain legally present during processing. Approval would grant her up to 5 years of stability. Emotionally, however, the situation is far more layered. Jenny's experience highlights how love intersects with culture, faith, and bureaucracy. International relationships require not only emotional connection, but resilience, adaptability, and sometimes a complete reinvention of one's identity. Whether she ultimately had to leave India or not, the uncertainty alone reveals how fragile her situation really is. Every extension, every meeting, every signature becomes a lifeline. And so, fans continue watching, not just to learn the outcome of a visa application, but to see whether Jenny and Sumit's relationship can survive the weight of family pressure, cultural differences, and immigration law. On 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, love is never isolated from real-world challenges. It is tested by distance, by paperwork, by tradition, and by faith. For Jenny Slatton, the question is no longer simply whether she can remain in India, but how much she is willing to transform herself to stay beside the man she loves. On 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, Jenny Slatton considers becoming a Hare Krishna devotee to stay in India with Sumit Singh. However, something unclear is whether or not Jenny has to leave the country to apply for a missionary visa. Jenny considers becoming a Hare Krishna devotee to avoid leaving India. On the September 5th episode of 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, Jenny is racing against her expiring visa. Jenny, an American citizen, has been receiving extensions on her visa due to the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Now, she is running out of options. Sumit is not planning on marrying her anytime soon, as he doesn't want to go against his family's wishes. Jenny currently has a 10-year travel visa for India. However, the stipulation is that she must the country leave every 6 months. After Jenny received her 4th visa extension, she and Sumit went to an immigration lawyer, searching for options. The only viable option is that Jenny would join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. Becoming a Hare Krishna devotee would secure her a missionary visa. Will Jenny have to leave India to apply for the missionary visa? During the immigration lawyer consultation on 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, what's not mentioned is whether or not Jenny would have to go back to America to apply for the missionary visa. According to this Indian immigration website, the missionary visa that Jenny would be getting on as a Hare Krishna usually takes 3 months to process. However, it's possible to apply online, send the documents to the consulates, and wait in India. The Indian government can extend the missionary visa yearly for a maximum of 5 years. Jenny could secure her spot in Sumit's life for up to 5 years. However, since the visa takes upwards of 3 months to process, Jenny would likely have to leave the country depending on how long the Indian government extended her original visa. Will Jenny be able to stay with Sumit in India? According to Live Mint, Jenny may not have to worry about leaving the country for a while. It reads, the central government on Thursday announced the extension of visas for all foreign nationals stranded in the country due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic until September 31st. They will not be required to submit the application to FRRO or FRO concerned for visa extension. This means that as of September 2nd, Jenny will not have to apply for any more visa extensions. The Indian government has already extended all foreign nationals and will automatically stay until September 31st, 2021.
Considering season 3 of 90 Day Fiancé was probably filmed back in the height of the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, Jenny may have already secured her missionary visa without leaving India. Jenny will be allowed to be in India as long as she's applied for the missionary visa before her tourist visa was up. Due to visa extensions, it seems that Jenny was probably able to get her new visa before the other one ran out. Still, fans will have to keep watching Jenny and Sumit's journey on 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way to find out if Jenny had to leave India or not.